Hey, what's up, YouTube friends? It's Bobi, aka Paginator, and I'm about to head off on a Bookspedition. You can see that there's a sleeping bag and all kinds of weird stuff in the back of my car. Not going to need those today. I'm just preparing for an upcoming road trip. But what I am doing is heading to Salt Lake City to visit the nearest Barnes & Noble to me, which is a 2-hour drive away. I have been on a book buying ban, and it's not going well. And not necessarily the fact that I'm not able to buy books, but the fact that I'm here in my little town and I feel like I need to get out. So am I using this as an excuse to go buy books? Absolutely. I also haven't been in an actual bookstore since probably December, maybe January. I can't remember, honestly. It's been such a long time. And I just want to go. So I've got a list of books that I'm interested in looking for, and if that means I'm a hypocrite for saying I want to go on a book buying ban and then going to a bookstore, fine, I'm a hypocrite. But whatever. I've got an audiobook to listen to on my way there. I'm going to be listening to Crave by Tracy Wolff, and I will update you on my progress as we go. Alright, so here we are in Salt Lake City. It's been a lovely drive, but I couldn't show you any of the scenery because that's not responsible or safe. I've been listening to Crave by Tracy Wolff, and I really liked it so far. It's got some Twilight elements. We've got a girl, Grace, who's recently lost her parents, and she's moved from California, where she lives, to Alaska to attend school in this castle full of really weird, strange people who don't seem to mind the cold quite as much as she does. Her uncle kind of runs the school, and her cousin attends there. And there is a dark, brooding boy who's there as well. One of the fun things about this book is it has fun chapter titles like How Many Hot Guys Does It Take to Win a Snowball Fight? Or What Do Hot Pink and Harry Styles Have in Common? So it's been kind of a fun listen thus far, and hopefully the rest will be great on the way back home. So I'm about to head into Barnes & Noble, and I want to show you the magical escalator ride from the ground floor up into YA land. So that's coming up next. I am now sitting in a Walmart parking lot in Park City, Utah. It's been a minute. So when I got to Barnes & Noble, I went straight for the bathrooms because I'd been in the car for 2 hours and needed a bathroom. And there was a lovely sign there saying, "Our bathrooms are closed." Not cool. But I managed to hold on to things, keep things under control to find the books that I got, and I'll show you those in just a minute. Then I ran to a nearby restaurant, which was a Panda Express, used their bathroom, and ordered some lunch. Haven't got to eat it yet, but whatever. I wanted to get out of Salt Lake because it's a little bit claustrophobic inducing. Anyway, so now I'm sitting in Park City, and I literally am sitting in a Walmart parking lot looking at the place where the ski jump events were held in the Salt Lake City Olympics in 2002. I guess I can show you the hill. Hang on a second. Alright, so you can't see, it's not a great view from, I can actually see it better from my eyes than from the camera, but you can see those little slopey things, the green ones. That's where the ski jumps were held, and it doesn't look like it from where we're at, but their Olympic logo is painted onto them. So, to quote Jurassic Park, well, we're back in the car now. So I want to quickly show you the books that I picked up, and then I'll be on my way. So the number one book I wanted to get, which I was so glad I was able to snag a copy of, is The Boundless by Anna Bright. This is the sequel to The Beholder, which was one of my top reads of 2019. So I'm very excited about that. Just so you know, I'm going to talk more about these books when I get home and get comfortable. Right now I'm like hunched over in the seat of my car and I don't feel comfortable at all. Next I have Her Royal Highness by Rachel Hawkins. This one I learned about from Jesse on Bowties and Books. On their channel they talked about it, and it is a LGBT title about a girl who goes to school in Scotland and falls in love with the Princess of Scotland. It just sounded interesting, plus I love Scotland. Here we have Jo and Laurie, which is obviously about the characters from Little Women, and the author of this one is Margaret Stahl and Melissa de la Cruz. Then we have Hunted by the Sky by Naz Bathena. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. We have Don't Call the Wolf by Alexandra Ross. Could I possibly get more uncomfortable at all? We have This Boy by Lauren Miracle. And then we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This is another one that I was really hoping to pick up a copy of. So yes, I bought 7 books, and I know that that was not cheap, and I'm not like trying to rub in the fact that I bought 7 books to anyone, because I know some people are going through a lot of financial hard times right now. I, as always, just want to share my bookish joy with you guys. So when I get back home, I will take time to slowly talk more about the books that I have just shown you. I'm back at home now and ready to give you a little bit more detail about the books that I did pick up. I did have to make a Walmart stop. I picked up a coloring book and some twistable crayons for when I'm going to be babysitting some kiddos next week, and you know, nothing else too exciting. So I'm ready to talk about my new books. So again, I've already showed you these quickly, but we'll take a minute to go through them in more detail. So The Boundless is a sequel to The Beholder. The Beholder, as I said previously, is one of my favorite books of last year, and I spent a good share of this last school year trying to convince kids to read it. And some did, and they loved it, and some didn't listen to me because they never listened to their teacher. Anyway, The Boundless is a sequel, and it's really hard for me to tell you anything that is going to or might happen in this book because I don't want to spoil what happened in the first one. So I'll give you a little bit of information about the first book. Selah is the main character, and she kind of has a wicked stepmother who has said basically, you're going to go on this trip and meet different princes from different kingdoms, and if you don't come back engaged, you might as well not come back at all. And she, in the first book, meets, I think, 2 or 3, and she finds out some secrets about things along the way, and I don't want to spoil, but there was lots of good feels going on in that book, and it was just very lovely. I'm sorry that that's not a whole lot of information, but I don't want to spoil things, and what I've read on the dust jacket here is all entirely spoiler, so I can't really even tell you what this says because it would ruin the first book for you. There's a fly buzzing around in my office and I don't like it. Next book is Her Royal Highness by Anna Bright. This is about a girl whose best friend / kind of girlfriend cheats on her, and she's absolutely devastated, and so she applies for this program to a scholarship to go to a boarding school in Scotland, and she gets in, and her roommate, Flora is the roommate's name, is the actual Princess of Scotland. Now, I don't know if there really is such a thing as a Princess of Scotland, but we're going with it for this book. So Millie, our main character, really can't stand this princess at first, but I get the feeling it's going to be a hate to love kind of romance, and that they are going to develop feelings for each other. Here we have Jo and Laurie by Margaret Stahl and Melissa de la Cruz. This is a reimagining of Little Women. Jo March has just published her first novel, and fans are demanding a sequel, and she's trying to figure that out, and she doesn't know what to do. So she and her friend Laurie go off to New York to get some inspiration, and she gets to attend a reading by Charles Dickens, which is like the thrill of her life, because if you know Little Women, you know Joe loves Charles Dickens. But it says here, but Laurie has romance on his mind. Now we know in the original, in the canon of Little Women, Laurie and Joe do not end up together, but in this one it sounds like they might. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Because what about Professor Bear? And Amy? I guess we'll see how we like this. It could be that I hate this, or it could be I love it. I don't know. The next book just kind of caught my eye on the shelves while I was there, and I thought, heck, I drove 2 hours to get to this store. I'm going to get a couple of extra books if I feel like there's something that sounds interesting. So I got Don't Call the Wolf, and this is by Alexandra Ross. There, you can see on the cover there's lots of creatures. This is about a forest called Kamina, I think. I'm not sure how to pronounce that exactly, but there's no humans there. But it's thrumming with monsters and creatures of all kinds, and there's a golden dragon who's like the bad guy that's kind of taken over things. He's a beast that 17 years ago descended on the castle and brought with it an evil that now threatens to spread beyond the forest borders. And then we have Wren. It says about her, abandoned by humans and raised by lynxes, Wren has spent her life protecting the few animals and innocent spirits who remain. They have crowned her their beloved queen. But Wren alone is no match for a dragon, and her forest is running out of time. Then we have Lucas, who is the youngest of 10 brothers, and one by one these brothers are getting called home to the, what are these called? To the mountains beyond Wren's forest, and they've disappeared, and Lucas is the last, and he is trying to find one of his brothers before he's completely lost. I'm not exactly sure how that's all playing out, but I guess we'll find out. It seems like it could be a little bit Peter and the Wolfish vibes. I don't know. It's kind of just what I picked up. One of the other books that I got that I wasn't particularly looking for but thought looked really interesting is Hunted by the Sky. This is by Tanaz Bathena. I can't say names very well today. Or as my nephew would say, I can't say this very right. So this is about a girl named Gull, and she has a star-shaped birthmark on her arm, and in the kingdom of Amber where she lives, girls with that birthmark go missing all the time, and that birthmark is what caused her parents to be murdered at the hand of the king's soldiers. And so she's been forced into hiding, and she's saved by a group of rebel women called the Sisters of the Golden Lotus. And so she's rescued and taken in, and they train her in warrior magic. She happens to one day in the marketplace run into Kavas. He is just about ready to sign his life over to the king's army because his father is terminally ill and he wants to be able to provide for and take care of his father, and he bumps into Gull and things will change. I don't know if there's going to be a romance between these two or not. It does tell me that this is the first in a duology, so we'll see where it goes from here. Up next I have This Boy by Lauren Miracle. It caught my eye because it's about a boy, and I was like, oh great, a book about a boy for my middle school boys to read about. So I grabbed it, and then as I've read more of the description, not sure if I'm going to be able to use it at school or not, because this is about a boy's story of addiction. And I'm not saying that that would be completely off the table for my middle school boys. I just want to read it first and see how in depth of detail we get, and if I feel like it's going to be okay for my kiddos to read. And last but not least, we have The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. You can see award sticker on here already, which is the Stonewall Book Award. And this is a book about a young biracial gay man who he's a teenager growing up in London, and he is part Greek and part Jamaican, and he doesn't quite feel Greek or black enough and kind of feels lost. He does come out as gay, but then he discovers the drag community where he's like, oh, my people, this is where I belong. And Black Flamingo is his drag name. And this is a book told in verse, or written in verse. So if I just randomly flip open, you'll see we've got pages full of verse. So it's going to be one of those that you can read a little bit more quickly than a prose book. But there we go. Oh, I need to show you the actual hard cover because it's flamingos. Whew. That's it. I do want to tell you a little bit about the book that I've been listening to, though, because I had mentioned that earlier in this vlog, so hang on one second. Alright, so as previously mentioned in this vlog, I have been listening to Crave by Tracy Wolff. This is the bookish box cover, and the original cover looks like a Twilight cover. It's got a flower with blood dripping on it. Because of that reason, I was really hesitant to even read this book, but then I saw it was available as an audiobook from my local library, and I thought, you know what, I need to give it a chance, and I'm glad I did. It's been actually quite fun. Sorry my battery died, but we're situated now. Alright, so back to Crave. There are definitely elements that remind me of Twilight. We have a human girl who gets into all kinds of scrapes, and we have a dark and brooding boy who is some kind of paranormal, and we have a school that has different types of paranormal. So we've got werewolves, vampires, dragons, witches, warlocks, all kinds of interesting people / creatures. But it is a little bit, I don't know, there's a sense of humor with it. I mentioned earlier the funny chapter titles that I've really enjoyed, and I don't know, there's kind of a snarkiness. It pokes a little bit of fun at Twilight because the girl gets hurt and she's supposed to stay in bed, and the boy that she's interested in sends her a copy of Twilight from the school library to read, and she's just laughing about it, which I kind of loved. Anyway, I'm not quite finished with the book. I think I'm about 2/3 of the way through, so I've got about 1/3 left to read, and anyway, I'm enjoying it. It's not, is it going to be a change my life book? No, but it's a fun, enjoyable read, so there you go. So if you're wondering about that book, I would recommend giving it a go and just see if you enjoy that take on the vampire-ish and paranormal world. Anyway, I believe that's all I've got for you today, so I'm going to let you go. Have a wonderful and bookish day. Happy reading. Adios.